moments later.
Was a Christian, and even he didn't think that as well. And they were close, and they would, have written correspondences. And Isa Gray said, "Look, I agree with evolution, but I'm still a Christian." So, like, what do you think? Do you think it disproves God, or?
I don't know who does,
They talk about evolution as well. So it depends on the level of complexity you want to look into. And there's a lot of material out there for evolution, but evolution starts with the first self-replicating DNA. But then the question arises, where did the first self-replicating DNA come from? And that's when you need to say, okay, before evolution, then it comes down to the Big Bang, right?
What about when it comes to find a plant life on a different planet somewhere up in the sky or something?
So typically, I think there's a theory, I've forgotten, it's like a really panspermia, I think that's what they call it, called seeding life on Earth. But then, John, it's like, rather than dealing with where did life come from on this planet, I think we're just pushing it on somewhere else. We're just pushing the burden elsewhere. So we're saying, it didn't come from here, it came from that planet. But then the question still arises, where did it come from on that planet?
I wasn't actually suggesting that our life would be the same, would be related to another planet's life. Just too far away, and I know your dust particles with these little seeds in the little sperms are going to get here or go there.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, well, is it just another planet that's evolving its life? Or is it God that's interested in another planet? Maybe to take us to in years to come, when we bucket this one.
I think the reason why we don't accept that is because our definition of God is, if you look in, I think, chapter 1, like Surah Ikhlas, it's like the third chapter from the end of the Quran. It's only like 3 lines, and that's our definition of God. Say he is God the one, so we believe that there's no multiplicity of gods. He's independent, he does not beget, nor is he begotten, and does not like him. So what we say is that even if there is another life on another planet, if that life is dependent, it can't be God, because God by definition is an entity that is independent. I'll give you an example. So our definition would be like this. It is a bit of philosophy I'll delve into, Western philosophy. So there's something called infinite regress. And I'll break this down. Anytime you don't know, we're dependent on food, we're dependent on water, we're dependent on electricity, we're dependent on other human beings. That thing that we are dependent upon is also dependent. Yeah? Like you're dependent on your mother, she's dependent on your grandmother, she's dependent on your great-great-great-grandmother, so it goes on. So our argument is, there's 2 options now. Either things go on for infinity, or there has to be an end to that chain. I'll tell you which of the 2.
You're not going to fall off the end, like I used to believe the Earth, you get to the end and you fall off. You just can't do that.
Interesting. So you're going with the infinite regress, yeah? Which means that possibly there is an infinite that exists. So let's explore that. So number 1, they die when they don't have oxygen, and they're not known to have infinite lifespans. For example, there was a time that they didn't exist. Like you said, 2 suns clashed, and then this happened.
Nothing existed in life, did it?
So that's very good. So you believe that there was a beginning of sorts. So you don't believe in infinity. If I was to ever throw the glove, that means there is an end to that chain. That chain ended somewhere, and then the answer came back. So I mean, there's